Hello, everybody, and welcome to TNT with Nick and Krusha. One of the hosts of this show, Krusha, joined alongside by Nick. Nick, how are you doing today?
Doing great.
We talked about it on Monday, the end up and wrap up of Match Day 1. This week, or starting yesterday, I believe, Match Day 2 opened up with some good games. England and Wales playing. We had Germany and Poland today. The first game I want to start off with the England and Wales game. It started off all Wales, Gareth Bale scoring the first goal, and then England coming around making it 2-1. We expected them to be the powerhouse of this group, but it's so nice to see that a not the most recognized team in Wales. I mean, we mentioned that they have a couple of the star guys. We mentioned Aaron Ramsey, the big guy Gareth Bale. But it's nice to see them compete in a spot where they can continue on in this tournament farther than anyone expected them to, really.
Yeah, I mean it was impressive to see them go or stay in it with England. As we've mentioned that we don't really trust those teams that have one-star player, such as Wales with Bale or Sweden with Ibrahimovic, where it gets to those really good teams. It's questionable whether they can keep up. And so for them to be in the lead actually for some of the game for I believe around 14 minutes. I mean they held in to the bitter end for them as with a great goal in the 92nd minute, Sturridge put England up and put in the winner for to beat Wales 2-1. And the on the bright side is that our picks aren't completely dashed, as we do have England winning this group, so it's good to see them bounce back from their draw against Russia. I don't think we're going to be having another fiasco as we did in March Madness, or at least we can hope. As if you guys remember, that was a absolutely horrid job we did of picking teams. But anyways, I mean, this is it. It was a great game, and what I think was the key difference was in the 46th minute, they took off Harry Kane and brought on Jamie Vardy, which they didn't do that in the game against Russia. And putting in Vardy gives instead of the kind of target man striker that they have in Kane, it's more of a pacey striker, having Vardy and Sturridge up top, and that's both being extremely pacey. We've seen what they can both do in the Premier League, and it's good to see them both get on the score sheet in these games.
And you mentioned them earlier, Russia. They played against Slovakia Wednesday, and just wow, Slovakia. For me at least, I didn't see Slovakia doing much in this group, but right now they are essentially tied with second, although you put them in third based on Wales having that win over them. But is that how it is? I think that's how it. I think Wales is ahead just based on the win they had. But Slovakia, I mean, they went out and competed. I expected Russia to put more of a competition essentially, but just it hasn't been the case. I mean, we saw them tie against England late, and then come out like this and just handshake, just having a great game, leading the Slovakia squad to beat Russia. And I mean, I was shocked at this. I expected Russia, who, like we mentioned, just tied with England, just come out and be manhandled most of this game.
Yeah, I mean it was impressive from the Slovakian side, as with Russia they were able to hang in with England, where granted England were pretty much dominating for that game, but still to see Russia go from, I believe they were first, or no, they were tied for second, or I believe in their group, now in dead last. I mean, obviously they're not out of it, but this division is shaping up way different than what we expected it to. As Group B, we have England up top, Slovakia, Wales, and Russia. Which I mean, Slovakia. No one really expected them to have put on the performance that they did. I mean, it's impressive to see them hang in with the type of side that Russia has. Like you mentioned, Hamšík really played well in their game. He's really starting to lift them up. He really lifted them up over Russia. It's good to see him. We've seen him do it. We've seen how great of a player he is at Napoli in the Serie A, but to see him do it international football against a team like Russia, it's really fun to watch him.
Speaking of fun to watch, I mean, this home country, France at least, is watching their team go out and compete. I mean, it was a great game. Yesterday's game between France and Albania, going all the way down to the 90th minute, where not one but two goals were scored. One by Antoine Griezmann, and the second one by Dimitri Payet. It's definitely definitely it for Albania at least that is a I would take that away as a win. They're not definitely guaranteed to be a not definitely guaranteed to be one of the better teams in this tournament, but they're definitely holding their own. I mean, it just sucks that you have that 90-minute goal, not one but two, and you know what we mentioned Payet coming in late in it seems like both games and making these impacts. And Antoine Griezmann, who's let's face it, he's a one of the best strikers in the world. He was one of the top goal scorers in the La Liga or the Spanish Premier Division. He comes out and he scores this goal, which essentially was the winning goal. But I mean, I guess for the cushion for Dimitri Payet's goal, just set them up. But essentially, even though they lost, Albania needs to take this away as a win. The fact that they compete with the number one power ranking team up until the last minute of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I believe Griezmann was brought on as a substitute late. As going up against Albania, you would expect France to be able to handle them without. They. I don't think they had Pogba or Griezmann to start, and so it was impressive from Albania to start off by just how well they played. Like you mentioned, against a team like France. And Dimitri Payet, I mean, he played unbelievable. I mean, he can. There's an argument for him to be the best player in this tournament so far, with pretty much two late goals to lift him over their competition. The one against Romania, obviously, the more, or the one that was actually the winning goal here, like you mentioned, just for insurance. But still, I mean, the way he plays, how he did in the Premier League, he is. I mean, it's unbelievable what he's able to do, and he's going to be a key part of this tournament if France are hoping to win this. And I mean, with him playing how he is, I don't see why they can't be a favorite to win this.
And speaking of favorites to win this, I mean, I've originally had Germany winning this entire tournament. And we saw today Germany and Poland go toe to toe and ended up drawing no goal scored whatsoever. And we know the powerhouse that Germany is, but we don't really see Poland being that grand powerhouse, or at least equivalent to Germany. I mean, you've got Lewandowski, you got Blasakowski, you have these guys around basically that comfort Lewandowski, but essentially Germany, each and every single player on that roster is a superstar in their own right, in their respect. But it was just really nice to see that this Poland team compete and hold Germany to to nothing. I mean, they don't have the greatest defense, but they definitely hold their own. And the fact that this Group C to be exact, Germany, Poland, Northern Ireland, Ukraine, is now completely wide open, where we saw Ukraine lose to Northern Ireland also. So essentially, there's only 1 point separating the top three, with Germany with full, Poland with four, and Northern Ireland with three. So I mean, that is the group to watch right now for me. It's just so tight, so it's still up in the air essentially. And right now, I'm still confident in the Germany squad because their next game, I believe, is against Northern Ireland, and Poland plays against Ukraine. But it's still definitely wide open. But I'm still I'm still stoked to see how it turns out because of how tight it is at this very moment.
I mean, it's got to be interesting to see as for Poland and Germany, Robert Lewandowski, the striker for Bayern Munich, going up against the keeper for Bayern Munich, Emmanuel Neuer. It's got to be interesting for the players to go up against guys that they are teammates with. But I mean, it was just I believe we have in our bracket we
You'd
have.
almost call it bittersweet, almost.
Yeah, I mean, if you score on your own teammate, it's kind of like, oh yeah, but then it's like, well, he didn't do too well. So I mean, I don't know which side you would vote for in that situation, but I believe in our bracket we have Germany and Poland moving on. So for that to be how it is, it's looking pretty good. But I mean, Poland, they really surprised me sticking in with Germany as, you mentioned they have a decent side, but going up against Germany, who are just, they almost have too many great players to figure out a starting lineup. I mean, it's ridiculous how great of a nation for soccer they have. I mean, and you have them winning it. I have England. I think Frankie has Germany winning it as well. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how this turns out. I think that Germany still, I mean, obviously they're going to get to the final. England, I still have some questions about. But, I mean, Germany in this Poland match, I still think that they were, as you look at the match statistics, they were pretty favorable to win it. Not many attempts, but 3 of them on target for Germany, none for Poland. Germany was 63% possession, Poland 37%. So, I mean, granted, the game was dominated by Germany, but Poland definitely had some chances to upset the German side.
And matches that are upcoming that I'm really looking forward to is the one Italy and Sweden game, and two on Saturday the Belgium versus Republic of Ireland. And another one I'm also looking forward to is Portugal and Austria. I'll get to Portugal and Austria in a second, but for me, Belgium and Ireland is the one that I'm looking forward to because Belgium right now is at the bottom of their group. And granted, this is only they only played one game, so you can't really base too much off of that. But they're definitely when you lose that first game, you're definitely put in a spot where you need to step up and compete better in this group. The fact that they're losing in a group with Italy, Ireland, and I want to say
Sweden.
yeah, Sweden. I mean, we expected Sweden to do something, but not more than Belgium. I think we had Belgium winning their group, if I'm not wrong. But
I believe we have Italy, Belgium, and then Sweden making it as the third team.
okay. Well, still, it's definitely something that Belgium needs to step up on. I feel like they will have no problem against Ireland, but then again, we've seen teams have problems against other teams, like we mentioned Albania and France. The fact that it took them forever to score. We saw Portugal, who essentially should be the upcoming the winners of the Group F, and we saw them tie with Iceland. And then their star Cristiano Ronaldo give crap to Iceland, and it's like really that's another whole story. But it's just to me, when teams should win it, they're not doing so, and that's why I'm looking forward to this Portugal and Austria game too, is because Portugal right now, after drawing in a for sure win against Iceland, they definitely need to bounce back against Austria, who at the same time needs to win against these guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's speaking on the Belgium Ireland matchup. It's a story with this Belgium team that, if you look at the lineup, I mean, they have obviously one of the best as far as just pure talent with Eden Hazard, Romelu Lukaku, Kevin Morales, Thibaut Courtois. I mean, the list goes on and on about the talent that this team has, but they just don't seem to be able to put it all together and and perform in these international games. And so it'll be definitely interesting to see how that happens, as far as if they can come back, if they can prove that they can, if they can prove that they're here to stay, they're a powerhouse in international soccer. And so that'll be definitely interesting. But in Portugal, they have not performed like you mentioned. They were expected to be the clear-cut winners, losing or drawing with Iceland, where I believe, I mean, Iceland, they have a population of 323,000 people. Cristiano Ronaldo on Twitter alone has 43 million followers. I mean, to give you a scale of how popular these nations. I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo obviously being one of the best players in the world, but Iceland, I mean, they are such a small country that I believe there was like 8% of their population at the game, with how small of a nation they are. But they are fighting and proving that they deserve to be in here. Some people thought they were one of the last teams to make it, I believe, as far as those two, one of the, I hate to say weaker, but weaker nations in this tournament. Uh, I mean, they have some players like Sigurdsson for Swansea in the Premier League, but it's just you don't expect them to really compete with Portugal with Portugal what they field. And so Cristiano Ronaldo has got to step up for Portugal. He's got to show out why he's got to make a case for why he's the best player in the world. And I mean, obviously they're going to be counting on him, so it'll be interesting to see how he responds.
This tournament almost reminds me of the World Cup. I mean, Ronaldo didn't have the greatest playing in the World Cup in a couple years ago, but definitely had some key components in which he led to his team to winning some games. I remember specifically against the USA game where it was late in the game and he had the cross in, and I believe it was headed in by Nani, I believe. I don't know who it was by.
I
So
put that out of my memory.
well, I mean, I'm sure a lot of Americans do. I mean, they still made it on to the next round. But speaking of Americans, I mean, we definitely still have the other tournament going on, Copa America. The tournament is set as far as the knockout stages are concerned. USA will be taking on Ecuador June 16th. June 17th will be Peru against Colombia. June 18th will be Argentina versus Venezuela. And June 18th as well, the last game, Mexico versus Chile. USA and Ecuador plays the winner of Argentina and Venezuela. Peru and Colombia play a winner of, or Peru or Colombia will play against Mexico or Chile. So it's definitely an exciting tournament. May not have as much hype as the Euros, but it definitely does solidify something. It does give one of these countries an edge going into the World Cup, simply that they come off a tournament win like this. It's definitely cool to see this kind of tournament happen on American soil, so that for us, we can see it. I know that there's not a lot of fans out there who enjoy soccer, as far as stateside at least. But it's definitely cool for people like us who want to see these tournaments, who want to see these country stars going on. I mean, personally, if I got the chance to see like a Lionel Messi or James Rodriguez or even Alexis Sanchez, it's cool to see these superstars come here and play at their top performance as far as playing against these other teams. And for us, America, for USA at least, to move on to this stage and be the winner of their group is anything more exciting than it was before.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, it's on American soil for the USA to come out and show out and win their group, and beat or win their group over Colombia, who definitely have a good team that they're putting out for Copa America. It's impressive to see where they've come from as they made it through the group stage of the World Cup, then got knocked out by Belgium. But I mean, going up against Ecuador, we're still, I believe, around 3 hours away from kickoff. Lineups haven't been announced, so we're still waiting on to see who is DeAndre Yedlin's replacement, as we've talked about, who got the red card. So it'll be interesting to see how the U.S. is able to replace what he brings, as he is a great defender for the U.S. at right back, and so it'll be interesting to see how they try and kind of almost put a band-aid on it for him. But I mean, against Ecuador, it'll be a tough matchup. I mean, obviously, it's always going to be, and I mean, on American soil, you kind of almost have to. That I mean, obviously, that's a home field advantage, but it'll definitely be interesting to see how the U.S. plays. And I mean, I'm still shocked in the Copa America about Brazil getting knocked out and who that becomes. I believe Argentina. Messi still has been coming off the bench, and so for them to be so dominant in their group and still have Messi coming off the bench, that's scary.
Yeah, right, and it is. You mentioned a very very hard matchup, and my thought was Argentina Venezuela game, where essentially everybody's giving over Venezuela, so they really have nothing to prove out there. They have to go out there and just play because they have nothing to lose. Whereas Argentina has everything to lose. I mean, they went all the way to the finals in the World Cup and lost to Germany on that heartbreaking towards the end of the game score by Mario Götze. But essentially, this game, Argentina has everything to lose, while Venezuela has nothing to lose. So I feel like that will give Venezuela some kind of edge. I still feel like Argentina will win this game, but definitely Venezuela will come out with a fiery vengeance and passion against this Argentina squad. And another game I'm looking forward to is the Mexico and Chile game, where we mentioned a couple. We mentioned it Tuesday about the 22 games straight without losing a single one. And
Yeah.
Chile, we know having just this great squad, that's going to be an exciting game to watch. And I feel like Mexico has the edge. Personally, I'm a little biased because I like Chile. I like the way they play. I like Alexis Sanchez as a player. I like Vidal. All these guys I enjoy watching on Chile, but it's definitely going to be an exciting game to watch, and that's one I'm definitely going to be tuning into on the 18th.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting game. As you mentioned, Chile, they've got a good side, mainly attacking with Sanchez, and you got Vidal, who's a great midfielder, can also attack. I mean, their defense could use a little work, but they are still a dangerous team, and they're still a dangerous team to play against. In Mexico, they cannot, their defense, it's decent, not great, and so they have to watch out for that too. I mean, I see a high-scoring affair happening on the 18th, with both these teams matching up against each other. But I mean, it's tough to say looking at the bracket that USA will go farther than Ecuador. As next they'll face either Argentina or Venezuela, as you mentioned. You mentioned it's a dangerous game for Argentina. They have to keep their head. They have to take Venezuela like they're on the same level, because underestimating a team can be very, very dangerous in this tournament. We've seen it with in different playoffs or in the March Madness. If you underestimate a team, you can go down and be upset. So Argentina have to play with that same fire that they have. I assume Messi may be starting he may be starting to give him that edge. But I mean, it'll definitely be interesting to see how these games play out.
Well, with that, we'll be taking a quick break. Don't go away, because we will be talking about if this will be the last game of the NBA Finals. Stay tuned.